Hello and welcome back to Rev Real Estate School. I'm your host, Michael Montgomery, and today we're talking about a little secret that top producers all know. And here is the thing about a top producer. A top producer doesn't necessarily have the highest skill set, doesn't necessarily know the most about real estate, doesn't even necessarily know the most about the product that they're selling, sometimes doesn't even have the best people skills. There's something else that top producers have, and that is what we're going to discuss today. So what is this thing? What is this secret that the top producers know that all the rest of us should also know? Well, really, it comes down to one thing. Real estate is really just mastering your behavior. If you master your behavior, you will master real estate. And yes, we're going to dig in deeper and understand what exactly this means. We first off talked about how top producers don't necessarily have the highest skill set, don't necessarily have the best people skills. We've all seen those agents who are not overly skilled but do a ton of deals. We've seen those agents who are very challenging to communicate with, yet they seem to have a ton of clients and a lot of conversations. We know people that know everything about building a home. However, they just don't sell as much real estate. So why is this? Well, it's because all of these things are important. We don't want to downplay the importance of these, but they're not everything. The key to everything in real estate is mastering your behavior. And if you're able to master your behavior, you can become the top 1% when it comes to the information that you provide, when it comes to your people skills, when it comes to being a top 1%er in your company, in your city, in your country. And that all comes down to behavior. So mastering your behavior, what exactly are we talking about here? Well, when you're mastering your behavior, you are doing things that you don't want to do when you don't want to do them. And you also have a way of thinking that you can put into practice at any point in time that's going to help you excel. So let's look at a few of these behaviors that top producing real estate agents have that if we all adopt, we can end up being extremely high producers. Well, first off, let's talk about being positive, being first, and being consistent. And so this is borrowed from Peter Kaufman. Down in the description below, I will link up a speech that Peter Kaufman did about this exact concept. And it is extremely powerful. It is an unbelievable listen. And Peter Kaufman, he is an advisor for Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett. However, he does not allow any of his speeches to be recorded. So there's really only a couple of speeches of his out there, and one of them we will link in below. In this, you will hear all about this concept of be positive, be first, and be consistent. And when he's talking about being positive, he's talking about his attitude. He's talking about being positive, being upbeat, being friendly with people. Yes, sometimes we don't feel upbeat. Sometimes we don't want to feel positive. We don't want to act positive, but we have to combat that. And this all comes down to our behavior. So if we are positive, we will have what he calls mirrored reciprocity. And mirrored reciprocity works like this. Basically, if I'm showing you a certain level of positive attitude, you're very likely going to mirror that back to me. However, if I'm giving you negative attitude, you're going to mirror that back to me. So you have to act first. You have to be positive and enthusiastic first, and the other person will be positive and enthusiastic back. So if you're first and you're positive, then from there you have mirrored reciprocity, and you will build trust and you will build rapport. Now, his last comment is about being consistent. And consistency is a behavior. Consistency is the system that we carry out regardless of if we want to or if we don't want to. And this is a secret that top producers have. It's that they are not always going to feel like calling their database. They're not always going to feel like they want to send out an email newsletter. They're also not going to feel like they want to send out postcards this month. There's a lot of times where they don't want to feel like they want to do things, but they do it anyways. And so this is the concept behind consistency and remaining consistent within our business. And this is not only when it comes to our marketing. So we were talking about marketing there, which also, of course, extends to social media consistency, but there's also consistency in how we communicate. And so if I'm telling one seller that the market's dropping and I'm telling one seller that the market's going up, that's inconsistent. So real estate agents that are top producers are very consistent with what they say because they are confident in what they say. And that comes with time. Don't worry about chasing confidence, especially if you are new. Worry about chasing systems. And then from your system, your confidence will build. And oftentimes we put the cart before the horse and we think, okay, we need to feel confident in order to go out there and sell real estate. When in fact, going out there and talking to people and selling real estate is going to make us feel confident. So basically that means with increased consistency within a system, we become more confident. The next piece of behavior is everything is practice. And we've talked about this before as well. And that's very similar to this video or podcast. None of them are going to be perfect. None of them are perfect. I go off script every single time. In fact, there is not really even much of a script sometimes. And that's okay, because each one of these is practice. And if we treat our business the same way, our fears will decrease, our confidence will increase, and we're going to learn because we're instantly going to put ourselves into a growth mindset versus this fixed mindset. And this is a really good hack if you find yourself finding yourself in that fixed mindset, which we all do at times. All you have to think about is that what you're doing right now is practice and you are trying to improve. This then leads us to the next behavior. And we've already discussed this slightly, but it's worth discussing again. And it's about intensity does not ever beat consistency. And this mistake is made by almost every real estate agent. And typically, the spot where it's made is when we just get licensed or we just finish a seminar or a course. We basically have this mindset that we're going to totally transform our business. Now, this is a key time. This is not something that we just want to squander away because we know over time that level of motivation will drop. But we're not working off of motivation. We're working off a system. Motivation is going to come and go. That doesn't matter because we're consistent and we have a system. Now, where the challenge is, and where we all believe we're going to build these systems is oftentimes after we get licensed or after a seminar, after we learn something new, but we bite off more than we can chew. So instead of trying to take over the world, think of what you can do in 5 years in real estate. 5 years time in real estate, you can transform your business into a very, very high 6-figure, if not 7-figure business. You can do that. However, we tend to think of how we're going to get there within the next year. And instead we have to take a step back and understand that, hey, we have a longer time horizon here. From there, then we're going to be able to focus on consistency over intensity. So when you're building your system, build it behind a consistent approach. So you think you can call 10 people every single day, drop it to 5. If you think you can call 5, drop it to 3. If you think you can call 3, drop it to 2. So what we're doing here is we're making it easier. We're making it easier because when you are very motivated, you're going to overshoot. And then by day 3, you're not going to be able to do it anymore. So it's exactly the same thing as if we were taking on a new diet or a new fitness regime. It's not go out and run a marathon tomorrow. It's go out and run around the block and then slowly work your way up to the marathon. And it's the exact same thing in real estate, that we have to set small, manageable goals and understand that these goals will compound on one another. And we need to trust consistency and a system over intensity. The next behavior is curiosity, which we've spoken a lot about as well. And curious people will sell more real estate for a number of reasons. First off, curious people are going to ask more questions naturally of the seller and of the buyer. When you ask somebody a question, they feel like you care about them because you are caring about them because you're curious. And not only that, they're also going to want to do business with you because you are making this about them. You're not telling them why you're the best, you're understanding what they need, and then you're crafting a solution for them. Curiosity will also benefit you when you're trying to understand the market. Why did home 1 sell for way over home 2? What's going on in the market conditions right now? How is this impacting the market conditions? How is the stock market? How is crypto impacting market conditions? All of these things, if we're curious people, basically what happens is we get more talking points. Curious people tend to have more to talk about because they're interested in more around them. So becoming curious is a huge unlock for us because we're going to improve our skills. We're going to find out more about our clients. Our clients are going to feel like they're cared about even more, and we're going to become better agents. Finally, there's the behavior of empathy, and it's truly putting ourselves in somebody else's shoes, specifically our clients. Now, empathy is kind of a tricky one because we're dealing with so many different competing parties. And so if I'm dealing with my seller, I want to put myself in their shoes. But what if I'm dealing with a buyer's realtor? So I want my seller to get the highest price, and I have a buyer's realtor here who wants to get the lowest price, or a buyer who wants to get the lowest price. How do you end up working with that? How can you be empathetic to both sides? Well, you can still be empathetic to both sides. So first off, the seller wants the highest price, but we're curious. We want to know why. We want to know what's really driving this decision so we can be empathetic. And if we can put ourselves in their shoes, then we can advocate for them. And the buyer's agent, we need to be empathetic to them. They're just advocating on behalf of their client. It's not about me versus them. It's about us together and how we can find mutual ground between the two groups. Now, as soon as there's an adversarial relationship, which we've probably all been in, those deals go up in smoke so quickly. So how can I put myself in the other agent's shoes so that we can see eye to eye and we can work on this collaboratively together? Now, those are some behaviors that top real estate agents will have, but it all comes down to the behavior. It doesn't come down to knowing the market conditions better, having the best scripts, having the best objection handlers, having the best listing presentation. Nothing. It doesn't come down to any of that. It doesn't even come down to having the most friends. We've talked a lot about having more conversations, but having more conversations is a behavior. The behavior that you have is that you are having more conversations. So real estate itself, if you were to wrap it up, and you were to say, what's the silver bullet? It all comes down to behavior. If you are able to master your behavior, you can master real estate. Thank you very much for listening to this episode. Remember, you can reach out to me anytime. I'm on Instagram at the.michael.montgomery, or you can reach out to us at revrealestateschool.com. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next lesson.